Have, over the course of the last several years, not spoken a whole lot about this, but back in the late 90s, I was a professional speaker, and I traveled the country doing workshops and seminars, and got paid pretty good for it. It was a good life in the mid-90s there. And I developed this, and it is kind of what I'm leaving you with today. Because Russell said I had to be done by 6, so we're just getting into this. We got a lot of food though, so we got dinner covered. I didn't realize it initially, but what I discovered was it was the 3-step method for all change. Change brought on by disease and circumstances outside of ourselves, as well as change that we might want to institute inside ourselves. And it's called awareness, acceptance, and action. Here's what I mean. How many here are married to somebody that has a problem and they don't know anything about it? Let me ask the question you can answer. How many used to be married to somebody that had a problem that they were completely unaware of? Right? Now, they were probably smart people because they married you. Right? So we know they were intelligent. So what was the issue? They were just not aware. See, I didn't know I had a drinking problem. Well, I didn't want to know I had a drinking problem. But I discovered, looking back, that when you're drinking 5 nights a week to the point of inebriation, you have a drinking problem. Okay? And I would love to tell you that I found God that night. I didn't. I wasn't that smart. I figured all this out without Him. Okay? If you don't know you have a problem, how can you fix it? Some of you lived with your disease for a while like that, didn't you? Didn't even know you had a problem. You knew something's wrong, but you couldn't really put your finger on it, and I don't want to go to the doctor. You know, us men were terrible about that. Man, we got stuff growing out of our back, it'll fall off. I know what I'm talking about, ladies. We don't like them doctors, okay? I went to the doctor the first time in 23 years, then spent the next 6 days in bed because I got something at his doctor's office. You think I'm going back anytime soon?
No.
Probably not. First time in 23 years, never missed a day of work in 23 years, never went to the doctor. I go to the doctor for a physical because one of the guys in my office, 49 years old, dies of a heart attack. 49 years old, dies of a heart attack. And I came home and told my wife, and she said, "And what day next week is your doctor's appointment?" And I still love my wife, so I said, "Look on it." So I went to the doctor and then spent 6 days in bed because I got something when I was there. But by the way, my heart was good. That's all right. But see, until awareness is achieved, nothing happens. See, in my case, I had a problem. Any of you deal with your husband not putting the seat down? Go ahead and raise your hand down. Be proud. He's sitting right here. Nah, it's silly and it's small. And that's why I use it, because I don't want to really talk about the big stuff. Okay, I will talk about the big stuff. This older couple goes 50 years. You guys are coming up. Well, let's get them another round. That's awesome. I know this is not you because of the way you spoke about your wife. I know this is not you, but this couple's been married for 50 years. She can't take it on their 50th one. She breaks down in tears. She says, "We have to go to marriage counseling." And he's looking at her like something's wrong with her. He says, "We've been married 50 years. This is our anniversary. What do you mean we have to go to counseling?" She says, "We have to go to counseling, please." So as his anniversary present, he says, "Fine, let's go to counseling." They walk in, and he's just sitting there. You know how he's sitting there, right, in the counselor's office.
Yeah.
Like he ate a bad fruit or something. And so the counselor looks at him and looks at her, and she's all ready to go. And he says, "Well, Mrs. Smith, why don't you start?" And she says, "Well, he never tells me he loves me." And she starts crying. And the husband comes out of his prune-like state, and he looks at his wife with great shock, and he said, "I told you on the day I loved you, on the day we were married, if anything changes, I will let you know." How many of you right now know that there's something in your life that's a problem that you're not addressing? You don't have to tell me what it is, but you know there's something in your life that you just, you know, it's Christmas time. What's that mean? Family coming to town. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, and before they come, remember, we're not going to talk about this, and we're not going to talk about, and we are not going to bring up 1973. How many know exactly? Because we love family when they're over there. See, I pastor a small church out in the country, and I made the mistake once of asking the church members to give me an organizational chart of all the families in the church, and they just said, you don't want to do that. Too many people married to too many people, you know. This is, you know, moving towards southwestern Virginia, you know, like even my wife's sister and cousin. Her name's Kathy. And so without awareness, you can't get anywhere, right? You got to have awareness, but that's not the big problem. See, that night, walking along that street at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was suddenly aware that I had a problem. But the decision-making was not done. Because, see, I'd been in this situation in Miami about 9 months before, only lying out the back stoop of the house and all of my internals up against my face. The difference was, this time it was icicles and a near-death experience instead of just too much to drink. This time I got to the second step, which is acceptance. Where you not only know you have a problem, you are willing to accept responsibility for it. Many of us have people in our lives that are sick, and we know it. We know it because we watch their behavior, and we see their reactions and how they're trying to cope instead of addressing it. Maybe this was you, with your ailment. I love what you said, I'm doing okay. And you did your introduction. How old are you, sir?
80.
80. Did you throw that at him? Did you think he was 80? I didn't think he was 80. At 80, this is true, at 80, you just kind of accept life coming at you no matter how it comes, don't you?
Yeah.
Right? Because he knows. You know, how long are you going to put it off? You're 80. Right? So you have to adjust. The challenge is, acceptance is really hard. I had a friend of mine up in Michigan, his name was John, and John was an alcoholic. He was an alcoholic for 30 years, cost him 2 marriages, relationships with all 5 children, and an untold number of jobs. And John didn't want to admit it. Why? Was John stupid? No, actually, John was really smart. But John didn't want to accept responsibility. You know, my mom passed away last year, and this is hard to share, but I never got here with my mom until it was too late. I didn't want to accept that my mom was probably dying. You know, the last time I spoke to her on the phone, about a month before she died, she called me 8 different names. None of them were mine. I didn't want to admit my mom was going, and so I put it off. And I go, she lived, at this point, she'd moved from Phoenix to Pennsylvania. And I didn't want to go see her because I don't want to see my mom like that. Some of you lost loved ones like that. It's hard. And I ignored it. And then we had planned to go up on her 75th birthday, which was May 4th, 2012. And she goes in the hospital the Monday before. And my sister, who's an emergency room nurse, travels from Florida up to Pennsylvania to be with my other sister who's taking care of her. And I said, how's Mom? She said, Mom's fine. She's all right. I said, do I need to come up? Because acceptance is beginning to dawn. Do I need to come up? And they said, no, it's okay. She'll be fine. Come up on Saturday like you're planning. She died Tuesday night. I missed the opportunity to accept the reality that was going on in my mom's life, and I never got there to see her. And I had all kinds of excuses. I got ordained on April the 15th. I was starting a new church, so boy, I had a list of excuses that were huge. And none of them mattered. Because she's gone. I never got got a chance to say goodbye, never got a chance to do all those things that you want to do. The only thing I can hold my head up about is about a year and a half before, she came to spend a week with us at Christmas. And she flew into Raleigh, because that's where Southwest flew, and she was in Phoenix at the time, and it was one way, and she was a diabetic amputee. And so we had a chance that trip to have that talk you always want to have with your mom. We had that talk. So I can look back and say, you know, although I missed that last opportunity, I didn't miss the opportunity. Because, you know, once that opportunity is gone, that opportunity is gone. And I know this is a little bit more serious maybe than what Russell was looking for, but this matters, this stuff, doesn't it? See, the challenge is that we struggle. This is all internal. This is not external. This is not life circumstances. This is our reaction to it. The question is, what are you going to do about it? 50 years. Do it big. Do it big. Where's Russell? How much of that thing down built and where all that stuff cost? Come on, just throw it on the rest. Too much. Do it anyway. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are many of you are fighting with a life-debilitating disease. Medical technology has got to the point to where you can be here today instead of being stuck at home. God bless you for being here. Because despite this nastiness, you're here anyway. Because you got there. And you're doing it. And you're finding ways to take the joy in every day. I told you when I started that I'm blessed to be a pastor and an insurance agent. So a couple of recommendations for you to close. You're not going to like one of them. Do it anyway. Schedule an appointment with an insurance agent. Doesn't have to be me. Why? Because they're really good at helping you manage this process. And looking at the things that need to be looked at and looking at the things that you don't even want to talk about. Because I know you got some.
Insurance agent, he's mine. He's really good. He's honest.
That's not what I'm doing. I appreciate that. But the point is you need to do that. Because they have resources that you don't even know about. And if you don't know about them, you are not aware, and therefore you can't accept. Maybe you don't need to do anything different. Okay? But meet with one. 2, meet with your pastor. Oh, I know, some of you probably don't go to church. That's okay. Meet with a pastor anyway. Why? I don't go to church. Do you think a pastor will meet with me even if I don't go to his church? Yes. Why? Because this is life. And it doesn't have to be a heavy-duty spiritual conversation, but we've got training and experience, and we know how to ask questions and know how to draw things from you to get you to look back on your life in ways maybe than you haven't looked at it before. And I'm not trying to be all preachy. I'm really not. But you understand what I'm saying. It's about reflection, okay, and gaining value. One of the things that I want to, and I picked on a couple of you here, and I'll be honest, I picked this up on my way here. I was in Staples trying to get something done, and they botched it, so I don't have it because they destroyed it. But that's on film. And